Oh, okay. Well, hello, everybody. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. So, you guys, if you are new to the show, let me tell you what this show is about. So, this is the show where we like to talk about things in employment, education. We like to talk about what else? Mental health. We like to talk about entrepreneurship. We've talked a lot about homeschooling, neurodiversity, disabilities. We've talked about a lot of stuff. And we like to take those private conversations that we kind of keep to ourselves or we keep it within our friends and we put it all out there in the open. This is not your gossip show. This is a show where we have real talk about real things pertaining to very important things in our lives. So I know that was a pretty general description, but this is what Hot Topics is all about. So today I am looking forward to this episode because not only do we have a repeat topic, but my guest today is technically new to the Hot Topics franchise, but I was actually a guest on her podcast many months ago, and now she is on my show. So it's great to have those connections with other podcasters, and it's great to get on their shows. And when they come back and do your own show, I think it's awesome. And it's all about networking, you guys. So the more relationships you build, the better it is for you. So I am looking forward to this episode because I have another podcaster on my show, and that is awesome. So let's get right into it. So, what is the topic for today? So, the topic for today is there's a little delay. Bear with me. Okay, so the topic of today is living with a disability, part 15. So, you guys, this is the 15th installment of this thread. I don't even know what to call it, but this is the 15th time that I am doing this topic, living with a disability. And it is the very same disability that I've done out of the 15 times. I think this is the 13th time I'm doing this. I hope my numbers are correct. Oh, wait, I have a second comment. I have a couple comments. Oh, hey. I got a comment that just popped up. Someone just left a comment here. I just noticed that. Let me just put that on the screen real quick. Tino's Time says, hey. Hey, Tino. All right. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So bear with me. Apparently, there's some bit of a delay on my end. Okay. So let's get right into it. So, living with a disability, part 15. We are doing this again for the 15th time, and my guest is going to help me out with this discussion. So, let me just tell you about her. So, my guest today, her name is Sarah Young, right? And Sarah coaches women on how to bring calm to their chaos by creating systems and routines in their lives and learning to live a priority based life as homeschooling moms and business owners. Okay, so that is her elevator pitch. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring her to the stage right now. I've done a lot of mumbling. I'm going to bring her to the stage right now. So my guest, I'm going to bring Sarah to the stage right now. Let's get her on camera. Hey, Sarah, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. So, as I said before, I was a guest on your show talking about the impact of virtual tutoring and the impact of the pandemic on tutoring as we know it and education as we know it. And now you are on my show going to talk about your disability, right? So I am going to hand the baton over to you. I'm just going to let you start talking. So please tell us your life story.
Wow, that's a big one. So the abbreviated version is I had a lot of anxiety when I was younger, and I attributed a lot of it to I also have autoimmune, I have Crohn's, and so I attributed a lot of it to lack of control from what that took from my life and trying to over control because of that. And the anxiety just got worse and worse and worse. And when I finally saw the right person, I guess, who asked the right questions, then we realized that, because I went to, I was like, the medication's not helping. Like, no matter what I'm doing, it's just getting worse. And so when I found the right person and we finally realized that it was ADHD and not just anxiety, and switched so that I could be medicated for the ADHD, I could come off the anxiety medication, and it changed things completely. So I guess a little bit about my background. I've, been living with chronic illness my whole life, so that wasn't really a new thing for me. Like I said, I have autoimmune, and I worked from home. I have 2 kids that I'm homeschooling, and especially when I was already building a business, and then we decided to homeschool, and I added that into it. I think that's when it really tipped off, and it was the worst, and I just couldn't feel in control of anything anymore. And like I said, when we finally got the diagnosis and I could come off the anxiety medication, I just felt so much relief. And on top of that, just also knowing gave me different coping skills, because I didn't know what I was trying to cope with before. And so that was a huge thing for me, is knowing what I was dealing with so I could know how to handle it better. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So there was something that you said that stuck out to me, which is you had a lot of anxiety and you were medicated for anxiety, but you received a not psychological, what's the word? I think it's psychoeducation assessment, and it turned out to be ADHD, right? So what was that like when, you're thinking you had anxiety, but it was actually ADHD? Well, I guess anxiety was a result of the ADHD, and it was a much bigger issue than it was initially determined. So what was that like for you, when you received the diagnosis that it was ADHD?
well, it's funny, like you said, it is bigger, but in a way, it was just such a huge relief, because, like with the anxiety, no matter what I did, it continued to get worse. And when I finally got that diagnosis, because when she first told me, I was like, no, I don't think so. And when she was like, no, and we sat down and kind of went through the process of her explaining how she got to that, I was like, oh, I do all those things. I just thought it was personality traits. And I was like, I was like, okay. And when we finally started to address it, for me, it was more of a relief than anything, because I could finally understand. Like, I am absolutely terrible at, I have no patience. And I mean, I do in some ways, but when it comes to a conversation, like, I was terrible about other people be telling me something, and I want to jump in and finish your sentence because I want to get there faster.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a horrible thing to be in a conversation as the person cuts everybody off. But once, that was one of the things she pointed out, and I was like, oh. And so now I'm consciously aware of, okay, that is something that my brain is trying to do. So I'm consciously stopping that. And it really helped me just in general calm down in so many ways, even just knowing how to kind of, okay, this is triggering me, this is frustrating me, let me come at it a different way. And so I can just have so much more calm in general now.
Yeah, hence calming the chaos, right?
Yeah.
The name of your podcast. So let's get right into the details. So how old were you when you got your evaluation?
Actually, I was an adult. I gotta think of how old I am now. I was about 39, so about 4 years ago. And the
Oh,
sad
recently.
thing about that is I was actually treated from the time I was probably 15 with anxiety. So I was on medication off and on. I mean, because there were times when I was just like, I don't want it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. But from the time I was about 15 up until then, I had seen multiple people. I had been in and out of therapists, in and out of, just trying to handle the anxiety and things. And so I guess to me, that's one of the crazy things that it took that many years of seeing professionals before anybody was like, okay, this is not even that's the reason this isn't helping is because that's not your core issue. If we can calm down the ADHD, you can control the anxiety better because it was little things. Like I was telling him, I said, I will start, I start fixing the drink and then I go over here and then I go over here. And then I'm frustrated because I have like 4 things in 4 different rooms and none of them are finished. And then I get even more and, being able to kind of slow that down and finish those processes just helped so much with the anxiety. But like I said, it's just really sad to me that it took, gosh, that was like 30 some years of being in multiple therapist office, multiple, evaluations and stuff, and never having anybody catch that.
So what was it? Excuse me. So what was what was that defining moment? What was that, I guess, epiphany moment where it was like, you know what, let's actually go get evaluated for some sort of learning disorder? What Tell us about that moment.
Um, I just hit a point where I felt so frustrated and so frazzled. It was like I remember just kind of walking through the house and just feeling like a raw nerve at all times because I was so frustrated at myself that I couldn't get anything. I was like, I've got all the organization down, I've got these routines, I've got everything in place, and it should be falling into place, but I can't finish things and I can't feel complete with anything. And I went to the person who'd been giving me the anxiety medicine. I said, this is just not working. I need to see somebody else. And so we got to refer me because I don't know if it's a different medication or what, but something has to give. And when she referred me and I sat in that poor lady's office and she was like, so what seems to be the problem? And I started just rattling off like several minutes of, well, this morning I went and I fixed my drink and then I went over here and she's like, okay. And I was just like, I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I don't feel like I can get I don't feel like I can ever calm down enough to truly enjoy my family, enjoy things. I mean, like we couldn't even go on a vacation because I would get so anxious over not knowing what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't know what the hotel room is going to be like, or what if it was just constant. And I was like, I can't do this, and I can't do this to my family. It's just miserable for all of us, and I'm done.
Yeah. So it sounds like you. All right. So I gotta process what we're talking about. All right. So you were on medication, right? But it wasn't working. You felt like it wasn't working. You didn't feel calmer with the medication, and things were actually getting worse. Is that right?
Yeah, it just seemed like no matter what they tried, it just, calming techniques, meditation, medication, whatever, it just kept building.
Yeah.
And I just continued to get more and more frazzled and less rested and less calm. And just, I didn't want to be that person. I mean, like, well, I homeschool my kids, I'm with them 24/7 most of the
Yeah.
time. And, when we're not at work, my husband and I are always together. And I'm like, I'm with these people all the time. And it's not fair to put that version of me with them because it's not a version anybody wants to be around because it's not, It's not a fun version. I'm snappy and I'm fussy and I just feel so fretted and frazzled and raw all the time. I just did not want to be that anymore.
Right. Right. So you wanted to be a better version of yourself, right? So, you went to all these doctors. I'm assuming you tried all the different types of medication. And I know with anxiety, the doc the I'm assuming you went to a psychiatrist. They might increase the dose, right? If they feel it's not working, or they might try a different type of medication, right? So there's a lot of experimenting and playing with medication that goes on, and no matter what they did, and you went to different specialists, and it wasn't working.
And I mean, I can even remember, gosh, it was before I had my oldest. It was about 15 years ago when I went to them and I was like, the anxiety medicine's helping my anxiety, but I can't stand even be touched. Like, I don't want anyone to even hug me. I'm just so, and I just, it's not very pleasant. So what else can we do? And they were like, oh, we'll just up the dose. And I was like, somehow I don't think that's going to help. I mean, I don't have a medical degree, but I'm just going to say if a small amount isn't making me feel good, then a big amount is definitely not going to work. And at that point, I came off medication for several years because I was like, I'm just done. Y'all are trying everything and it's not working, and I don't feel like anybody's listening to me. And then fast forward to 2 kids later, and I was like, okay, well, this is not working without medication anymore. I've got to do something. And I started back on the track of therapists, psychiatrists,
Yeah.
psychologists, and bouncing around trying to figure out, what exactly can I do to fix this?
Yeah. And you bring up an interesting point as well, that you had 2 kids, right? So with pregnancy and um, life after pregnancy, your body is changing, hormones are, in flux,
Every
and they're all over the place, right? So now you have, it wasn't working before the medication, but you had 2 kids now. Now you have, what's the word? Is it perinatal? What the one the what whatever it is after pregnancy. um now now you're in the post birth stage of your life, right? And now your hormones are changing, and you're going through the biological stages of being a mom. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. And the medication is got even worse. So, all right, so let's get to the ADHD part. All right, so medication is not working. They've done, they increased the dose, they tried different meds, and it wasn't working. And then you give birth to two children, right? Well, at one each time, right? Not twins.
Oh yeah, no, 2 years and 2 days apart.
Right. So you got pregnant twice, you had your children twice, your body is going through the biological changes of being a mom, and it just got even worse, right? So as pregnancy and childbirth can make things worse biologically for women. That's what I'm trying to get at. So things are worse, not working. You put your foot down, you go to your doctor. This is not working. Your doctor suggests, okay, it may not be anxiety, it might be something else. And they refer you, give you a diagnosis, ADHD. You said before you felt relieved. Tell us more about that. Take us through that feeling.
Well, and you mentioned the whole biological thing, and I had, because of my Crohn's, I had high risk pregnancies. The second pregnancy was the short version, a physical nightmare. Everything that could, I mean, he was perfectly healthy, but as far as my health, so many things went wrong. I mean, I had Bell's palsy. I went blind for a long story, but anyway, so for several years after that, where things got worse, then a lot of it was hormonal as well. And because that was just all out of whack. And I mean, the doctors were like, well, just exercise more. And I'm like, the craziest things. I'm like, this is not helpful. And so I think I got to that point where I had just kind of decided something must be broken with me. And I mean, rationally, I know that that is not the case. But on some level, I just felt like I have done everything they've asked me to do. I have tried every possible thing. And if I can't fix this, then maybe it's not fixable. Maybe it's something that's just not okay with me. And so I think that came into the relief, is that, I mean, it just kind of gave me this sense of, I could put my finger on something and go, it's not me. I'm not defective. There is an actual reason that I have these behaviors. There is a reason that I'm reacting this way to things. And I think that's where the relief came from, is that I felt like on one hand, it gave me this validation that I'm okay and that there's a reason causing this. And the other thing, it also gave me this relief of knowing, okay, if I know what it is, I can address it, and therefore I can change those behaviors to become the version of me that I wanted to. So I think the relief came from both of those, really, for me.
Right. So when you finally realized that what you thought was like an emotional problem, it's actually a neurological problem. I can imagine it's like a whole weight just came off your shoulders. Like you're not crazy. Like it's actually my brain. I'm think, it's
Right.
it's not my emotions, it's not me, it's my brain.
Because before that, I kind of felt like some of the behaviors, I was like, some of it may just be patterns that I have kind of ingrained in myself over years. And so I should be able to change this. And knowing, I think that's where a lot of the relief came from, is knowing this is, a neurological thing, gave me the sense of, oh, all right. So it's not that I have done this to myself. I've not created this. This is not something I was supposed to be able to fix. This is an actual thing that I just need to learn how to cope and handle better. And that made such a difference, having that perspective with it.
Yeah.
So
let's talk more about those ADHD behaviors. Tell us more about those behaviors.
I think for me, it wasn't really huge things. It was, physically, I seemed super impatient. Like I said, I was terrible about, and now I'm just more conscious of when I start to go, and then I'm like, wait, they're telling me something. I need to stop and not cut them off. But like I have to have a schedule, which I was always very schedule oriented, and I thrive off of routine. But I have to go through my routine, because if you take my routine away from me, then I start to feel very frustrated. It's like I can't remember which thing I'm supposed to be doing next if you take that away. And so I have it's not necessarily a time thing, but it's very much, I do these things in this order. And that gives me that sense of, I guess, a sense of calm, because something as simple as if I get out of sync and I'm like, then I start to get frustrated, because I'm like, oh, well, I started unloading the dishwasher. So I've got dishes on the counter that I need to put up. And then before I finished that, I was over here, and then I started doing laundry. And so I've got the wash machine and like I would have things open all over the place. Like, I guess the equation of having a computer with 72 tabs open, nothing's getting finished, and it's just everywhere. And I think that's where, when I would kind of start to spin, because I was like, I wouldn't even know where to start, because I'll have started 7 different things, 7 different places, and I just couldn't figure out how to stop and complete something. And with one of my kids does process a lot more like me, and so it also, I think the other thing with having the diagnosis, gave me a much better understanding of where he's coming from with things too. And it just kind of, in general, was like, oh, okay, I can kind of see these behaviors in myself, and these behaviors in him, and this is probably why we are both doing those. So these are ways we can change those behaviors. And I mean, like if you go around my house, we have things written in a lot of places. We have like, all right, this is the routine. This is what we do. And because we deal well with the structure and with knowing what's coming and stuff. So
right. So you have an organizational system. So now that you are aware of your ADHD, you're implementing strategies that'll help you focus more and know where things are more and calm yourself more.
and I just really found ways to kind of clear that brain space, because it was like I could never fully unwind, because when I'm here, and, like if I'm sitting here working on something, well, then I'm thinking about the kids, I'm thinking about homeschooling, I'm thinking about dinner. And so for me, having a system kind of helped me be able to, and then I wasn't really fully working on work because I'm thinking about all this other stuff, so I couldn't get as much accomplished. So having the system allows me to kind of put things in their boxes, so to speak. And so, okay, I have a system. And so when I'm working on this, I don't have to worry about any of that, because we've already got it's written out over here what we're having every night this week. Everything's already done for it. It's written out. It's ready to go. And over here, I have time set aside for the kids or for the family or for whatever, so I can actually fully work on this. And some of it's just general self discipline. Of I had to go, okay, if I've got to get this done and I can't focus on it, then like one of my saving graces has been brown noise. I will put my AirPods in, put on brown noise, and that kind of lets me block everything else out, so I can go, okay, if I don't have any, because I squirrel constantly. So like if I can block that out, then, thank God for noise canceling, because that way I don't, if somebody comes through the room, I don't hear it. I'm cool. I can sit here and do what I need to do and get through things.
You eliminate all distractions and it allows you to focus on what you need to do.
Yeah.
So you're off of anxiety medication, right? Are you on ADHD medication?
Yes.
How's that working for you?
It's working a lot better. I can tell a huge difference and in the beginning I guess stereotypically you hear so many things about medication that in the beginning I was so hypersensitive to it that when I started taking it, then I was in my head constantly going, oh my gosh, well, I'm doing this, well, I feel this way. And when I finally kind of was like, wait a minute, after a week or so, I'm like, but the behaviors are better. The reaction is better. So let me just kind of take a step back. And when I finally kind of unwound a little bit, then, we had to play with the medication a little bit to figure out what times work for me and what doses, but I can be on a relatively low dose. And now I notice I squirrel a lot more in the evenings because it starts to wear off closer to the evening. So,
Yeah.
my evenings are a little more squirrely, but, for the most part, I can get through my day so much easier and get
Yeah.
so much more accomplished than I was before.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So now, do you still have those feelings of anxiety?
Oh yeah. But I'm a high strung person in general, and I think that's just always who I've been. And like I said, I've had chronic illness. I had Crohn's since I was 5, and so in and out of the hospital, I think there were a lot of things I couldn't control growing up with my health, and a lot of and having major surgery as a teenager and stuff like that just kind of created a lot of control issues and added to the anxiety. But I don't have the same kind of constant random anxiety that I had before, if that makes sense. It was like before it was like nonstop. I was anxious over something 24/7. And now I have certain little control triggers that cause more anxiety pockets, but I can go, and like she gave me medicine for when they really get bad, but I can go months and not need it. And so that's a huge difference for me, is when I have pockets of anxiety, being able to recognize it, pull myself down, and if I can't, have a little something that I can help that out with. But being able to, it's kind of like my safety blanket. I don't normally need it, but it's like knowing that I have something there kind of makes me feel good too.
Right. So the anxiety symptoms is more controlled. So you're more aware of when you feel anxious, worried, and you're able to control it. I like you feel it and then you attack it.
And I know I can kind of see that happening more now. And, before it was like such a constant state that I really couldn't see as much. And so now I can kind of recognize when it's coming out and go, okay, I need to shift my focus. And sometimes it's as simple as I need to step out of whatever I'm in that is contributing to that anxiety and step back and do something, shift my focus, so to speak. All right, I'm really anxious. I'm just going to decompress. The kids and I are going to go sit down and watch a movie and have a snack and just kind of step away from whatever and, come back from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could just, so everything, so your life is, what am I trying to say? Your life is not as chaotic now.
Correct.
So you said before about your kids that you notice that they have similar issues to yours, and because of your experience, now you can adjust them in your own children.
Well, and I mean, it's as simple as recognizing. A lot of it's recognizing. And when I started recognizing the behaviors in me and what they were from, then being able to kind of help them go, okay, we're kind of squirreling. We're not able to focus on something. Let's step back and find a better way to cope with handling this. And I think that made a difference, just being able to kind of recognize what was going on and being able to kind of help steer them in a direction of, shifting focus or doing things differently so that we can kind of see a different side of things.
Right. Right. And then using more. So wait, are you still doing the meditation and
I really wasn't a meditation person, I found. I mean, I have certain things I like to do for my mindset. I have, like in the mornings, I listen to, I watch my vision board, and I listen to, in the mornings, it really kind of gets me all upbeat more. So I usually listen to a channel on YouTube I like, and I listen to that. I don't have to see the video. It's just, I'm brushing my teeth and washing my face, and it's like this can-do attitude. It kind of pumps me up, and then that way I kind of have that push to get moving. But at the same time, I found that I can meditate, but not the way that, quote unquote, other people do. I can't. I mean, I'm like, I can put on something calming. Like I have an app on my watch, and I'm like, okay, I can put it on, and it just kind of has a very soft little chiming sound, and I'll sit there and just kind of be able to deep breathe for a minute and just kind of slow down and calm down. Even if I'm not anxious, if I'm just kind of moving faster than I want to be, then I use something like that as opposed to really meditating, because I'm just not patient enough for it. I don't think. I've tried.
So, not like the typical meditation. You might use like relaxing music or a television show you like to watch.
And I mean, it can be as simple as I will try to put on something without words, just some kind of calming music, even if it's like the brown noise or something, and just kind of get still and calm down for a few minutes and block everything out so that I can kind of reset. But I don't do well with we tried the whole sitting and being sit. I just not great at sitting longer. So, my chiropractor was telling me one time, they were like, just be. And I was like, I don't be well. I'm sorry. I tried. I don't be well. I do. I'm a doer. I can't help that.
Oh man. So we didn't even, get to talk about school and, how was school for you growing up?
I was really, really lucky because I could do pretty well in the things. I had two gears. Either I excelled in it and I really got it, or I didn't and there wasn't much getting it for me. But I was really pretty lucky with how it all went because I did not, for me, the big problem happened when I tried going to college, and I tried, sadly enough, 4 different times. Um, and, community colleges, but still, I would try. And what I learned was I made it through school pretty well because I got the stuff and I figured it out. But when it came down to, I didn't know how to study. I never learned that at all. And so when we got to college, anything that I did not just already know, I couldn't get because I had no concept of how to take it in really. Like I'm not a verbal learner. And so when you have someone standing there telling me how to do it, it was like, I'd leave classroom and go, I have no idea what they just explained to me, like zero. And I don't understand how to study because I never really learned.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was where it really hit for me is I finally was like, okay, this is just not working for me. And it's just not going to be, it's just not something I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I kind of hit a wall with that. But I was very thankful during school that I could get by pretty well because I never studied. I never took a book home. I just didn't understand what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you managed to get by.
Yeah. And I'm really lucky with that. But, and like, you could always see where my strengths were because the classes that I got good grades in versus like chemistry, where I took it during school, still had to go back and repeat it during summer school because I didn't pass it. And then summer school skated by with a D. And I'm like, you know what? That's okay because I still don't know what we're talking about. So that's okay. A D is passing. So check that off and move on.
Oh man. And it's just so it's very common. You're not alone in that. When it comes to people with ADHD, there's some subjects they tend to do better in because it uses more of their energy and more of their brain functioning. And then there's other subjects where it's hard to focus or it's hard to take in a lot of information. And those are the subjects that, people, depending on who the person is, those are the subjects that they tend to do worse in. So,
and I think that influences how I homeschool a lot too, because if I'm not interested in it, I have a really hard time focusing with it. And so I think, and I don't want them to learn just what I'm interested in, but we tried in the beginning to kind of follow curriculums and all that. And I finally went, I don't really think that we need all that. So we switched to more of a unit studies approach where we're actually using something completely like if we're really into, we went to Jamestown not long ago and they're really into history. So we use that as the whole thing. Cause I said, there are certain skills you need to know in life, but if this isn't your strong suit and we have the ability to choose how to school you because I'm homeschooling you, then why am I forcing us to sit down and do worksheets and this kind of thing if that's not helping us and getting us forward? And so I really think that that's made a big difference in how I school them too in a lot of ways, because kind of seeing, okay, we don't need to do things this way as long as we're getting the knowledge in and we're able to show progression and move forward on things,
Right. So with homeschooling, again, I also find in talking to other like parents who have children with special needs, or even the parents themselves who have special needs, I noticed that they tend to pursue homeschooling, and the same reasons that you said, like it's not so structured. You cater to the child's needs more. One of the issues with the school system that it's very very repetitive, doesn't necessarily attend to the individual needs. It's very like factory like, and it doesn't work. It doesn't always work, especially with children who have special needs. And sometimes some kids need more attention, And, that's one of the sad things about the school system. It's not exactly built to give individual attention. And so a lot of parents, who have kids with special needs, they tend to turn to homeschooling. So you're not alone in that either.
Well, and even, one of my kids, one of the last good years that we had in school, he was getting frustrated a lot because he had done that stuff already and he already knew it. And so he was fidgety in class because he'd already completed the assignment. He'd already finished it. And, then you're told, and not in all classes, but he happened to be in a class where then it's like, well, you're wiggling too much, or you need to be sitting up straighter, or watch your posture. And I'm like, none of that has anything to do with education. So, that was another thing, is like in the school system, unfortunately, and I think a lot of it's just the system itself has a lot of challenges. And so when you are someone who doesn't check all those boxes or can't quite conform the way they want to, then it makes it that much harder to learn. Because if I'm sitting here trying to learn something that's already not easy for me, and then on top of that, you're going, well, you've got to sit in a seat that's uncomfortable, and you've got to sit up straight, and you can't move, and you can't talk, and you can't wiggle, but you can't figure out what I'm telling you because it's in front of you. And all you're thinking is, I don't like the seat. And it doesn't feel good to sit here. And so I have no idea what you're really saying to me, because that's all I can think about. And so that was, because I remember being through some classes growing up where I'm like, I have no idea what we're going over. All I can think about is, this is not working for me. And like I said, I very thankfully got through and did okay with it. But I saw a lot of that too with them, whichever way it was bothering them. Just it wasn't the easiest environment to learn in, the traditional way that schools are set up. And so that really was a big key factor to, okay, we want to do this differently since we're doing it at home.
Absolutely. And you have the environment to do that. And you're not thinking about the constant wiggling and sitting still and not moving, and
Right.
the child doesn't have to think about all those things, because you created the environment where all that is not really necessary.
Right.
Awesome. All right. I know we're having a lot of fun, but we got to start to wind things down. So do you have any final words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
I think my two big things are, and they apply to the ADHD as well as everything else in general, just follow your gut. If you really think there is something that's going on, whether it's, psychological, neurological, whatever it is, if you feel like there's something going on, follow your gut. If one person doesn't give you the answer you need, keep asking. You've got to be your own best advocate. And then the other one is give yourself grace. We all have struggles. We all have different things that work for us and don't work for us. And I think that's the saddest thing, is I see so many people find what works for somebody else. They try to force it on themselves. And it's just sad, because we all have different paths, and you need to give yourself the grace to find the path that's yours and to just kind of live that path.
Fabulous. Fabulous advice. Thank you so much, Sarah, for that. All right. So it's promo time, as I promised. Let me get this banner up here. Okay, bear with me as I get this banner. All right, you guys. So Sarah is all over the internet, you guys. You can visit her online. Her website, oh, she got a long website. All right, so her website is www.sarahyoungllc.com/chaos chaos hyphen two hyphen calm hyphen with hyphen Sarah hyphen Young. She has a long web address there, but it is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen for those of you happen to be watching this on video. But if you are listening to this on audio, don't worry, you guys. All of this information will be in the description. So please go to her website. She also has a Facebook page and a Facebook group with the same handle, Calming the Chaos with Sarah. So I encourage you to follow her on her Facebook page. I also encourage you to sign up for her Facebook group. And she is also on Instagram and TikTok with the handle Sarah underscore young underscore 79. So she has a Facebook page. She has a Facebook group. She is on Instagram. She's on TikTok. And she has a website. So she's definitely, she definitely has that online presence. So I encourage you to check her out online if you have more questions about her. I encourage you again to follow her on social media, follow her on her Facebook page and her group, and follow her on Instagram and TikTok. Oh, Sarah, can you tell us more about your business?
Yeah, so because of everything that I kind of went through and knowing that there were so many things out there, it can be really overwhelming, especially if you are running a business and you want to homeschool. And so I'm a homeschool life coach, which is a fancy way for saying I help moms who primarily moms that work from home or have a business, but in general, moms that are trying to figure out how to homeschool and balance it all. I have a program where you can work one-to-one with me. I have resources online, and I'm getting ready to launch a membership with it. And just having somebody there to kind of help walk you through the process, because there are so many different ways to homeschool and there's so many different learning styles, and being able to have somebody there to kind of help give you the resources to figure out what your child's learning style is and what your learning style is, so that you can find what really works best for you and not for, Susie down the street or whatever. There's just a lot of different ways that I can help through that process and help you find balance so that you can live the priority based life that you really want and feel like you're present with whatever you're doing. So you want to be able to be present when you're with the kids and not worry about other stuff. And when you're working from work, be present with that and not feel that mom guilt that we all feel. So that's kind of where I come in and help.
Awesome. So you provide like one-on-one consultation, for any moms that are interested in homeschooling their kids.
And I have a one-to-one coaching program, a 90-day program where I kind of help walk you through my life is chaos and I don't know what I'm doing, to let's get you some systems, get you some routines and habits in there and figure out what you really want to help get you on the path to where you want to be.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I know it's tough to promote things that have a date because it depends on when you're viewing this episode, but I will let you do it. So if you want to talk, tell us about your workshop that's happening at the end of this month, September 2022?
Yes. So it is Monday through Friday next week, September 26th through the 30th. And it is myself, homeschool life coach, as well as a friend of mine, Ty Whaley. She's a phenomenal business and intuitive coach. And the two of us kind of teamed up together because we saw a lot of moms that kind of were trying to balance both. And so we teamed up, and it's only 2 hours a day for the week. And you get the replays if you sign up and everything, and you get live coaching with us. We walk you through our process to try to get your balance in check, really get your life in check, and figure out how to build that homeschool that you want and build your business time around it so you actually can have both and feel balanced with it. And then you also get, like I said, coaching time with us throughout the time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a ton of resources and a ton of things that we're going to be, sharing in that. So.
And where can people sign up, or where can people find out how to take part?
Check out I'm all over the place. Go to pretty much any of my social. There's always a link on my podcast. I usually put it in my stories. DM me. Any of those are fine. If you want to go to my website, there's a link on that for it. There's actually, I usually pin a link on most of my socials. And like I said, if all else fails, just send me a message and I will happily send you that link. And like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. And she and I work great together. We both are homeschooling moms that have businesses. So.
All right. And tell us those dates again.
It is Monday, September 26th through Friday, September 30th. And it's actually going to be 10:30 to 12:30 Eastern time live. But again, you'll get the replays if you sign up for it. So if you can't catch all of them, or, And we don't mind kids, dogs, whatever. We are homeschooling moms, so come as you are and bring whatever's in your house. It's fine.
All right, so take advantage of that, you guys. So check out her all. If you want more information about that workshop, you can check it out on her website. Again, it is www. I'm just going to say it, sarahyoungllc.com/chaos. Then there's a hyphen, to hyphen, calm hyphen, with hyphen, Sarah hyphen Young. And you can also check out all of her socials on social media. Check out our Facebook page, Facebook group, Instagram, and TikTok. Reach out to Sarah if you want more information about that workshop that is coming up at the end of the month, September 2022, depending on when you're watching this episode. Please, please, please go to all of her socials and get on it. Take advantage of this opportunity while it is in front of you. And that information, again, it is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. For my video people and for my audio people, don't worry. All of this information is in the description. So however you are taking in this episode, the information is at your fingertips. And I want to make sure we get this. You have a podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
I had always really wanted a podcast, and when I started down this path, then it gave me a better way to reach out and provide resources to people that maybe didn't know about me on social. I have 2 episodes a week, and I absolutely love it. It's my baby. I have 1 episode a week. It is a short solo episode every Tuesday that drops with me, and usually it's either a little kick in the fanny to give you a little pep, or it is some kind of tip and takeaway that you can use. And then every Friday I have a guest, and I have fantastic people like you come on and just kind of speak to different aspects of motherhood and kids and just anything along those lines. So it's a lot of fun, and I really love it.
Fabulous, fabulous. So I encourage you guys to, let me put that banner back up actually. I encourage you guys to check out her podcast. It is called, of course, Calming the Chaos with Sarah. That is the name of her podcast. You can listen to her podcasts on your favorite podcast station. So wherever you receive your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spreaker or Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever it is, Good Pods, wherever you get your podcasts, you guys, check it out. It is there. Calming the Chaos with Sarah. I encourage you to listen to our podcast and subscribe. Subscribe to that podcast, you guys. All right, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. It was awesome to have you on my show.
Thank you for having me. It was really great. And it was also super fun being that you were one of my first guests to be able to be on yours too. So that was super fun.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, I'm going to put you off camera now. Okay, and now you guys, it is just you and me. So let me get my banner up here. All right, bear with me. It's a bit of a delay on my end. Where are you gonna? Okay. Okay. Huh. All right. Give me 1 second. Where is my banner? There is my banner. Okay. Why is it? Okay. All right. It's coming through. It's coming through. It's coming through. All right. All right, you guys. Woo. So we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please check out our other episodes and don't forget to follow and subscribe. So wherever you are taking me in right now, whether it is on video or on audio, please check out our other episodes and don't forget to follow and subscribe. And while you're at it, let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section or in the comment thread, or send an email. However, you want to reach out to us, but please let us know your thoughts about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section or in the comment thread, or you can send us an email, right? So however you want to let us know your thoughts, please do so. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And as a reminder, this podcast is a production of our company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you're looking for a tutor, whether it is for yourself or for your child, please reach out to us. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Where else? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Eventbrite. So we are on a lot of different socials. Check us out on our social media as well as our website. But yes, if you are looking for a tutor, whether it's for your child or for yourself, please reach out to us. I will give you that website again. It is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. And if you missed any of this, don't worry. All this information is at your fingertips. It's in our description. It's scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. For my video people, what this information is at your fingertips, whatever medium that you are taking in this episode. And lastly, I encourage you to sign up for our Hot Topics text list. So if you want to know about our upcoming episodes, you want to know when we release it on audio, when we have our live episodes, you just want to know anything and everything that is Hot Topics, you guys, join our text list. All you have to do is text the word Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. I'll give you that code again. It is Hot Topics. The code is Hot Topics. And you text that code to 917-764-3975. You can also send us an email at success@astepaheadtutoringservices.com or reach us on WhatsApp. There's a lot of different ways that you can join our texting list, but you have the keyword right there. All right, I know that was a mouthful, but we are done. So thank you so much for joining us today on this fabulous episode of Hot Topics, and I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. So thank you again, you guys, and now I am signing off. Bye.